Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fireplace podcast. This is Ella, and we're here with Reagan Sepulveda.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
For performing.
Of course.
Your performance was so good. And I feel like I always say that about everyone that comes here. I'm like, your performance was so amazing, but it's so true. Like, everyone in the crew literally got goosebumps when you guys
thank you.
We're not even performing for real, like doing the sound check. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. And we wanted to have you here to perform, but also to just know a little bit about you and like your journey as an artist and here in LA and everything. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, just like from the beginning, from when you were born.
From the beginning. No. So I'm Reagan Sepulveda. I'm from Houston, Texas. I moved to LA, going on my 4th year in LA.
Nice.
I've always sung my whole life. I grew up in church, and so I started singing when I was like really young. And I've just always joked that it's the only thing I've ever been kind of good at. And so I just stuck with it because I was just like, this just seems like the good move. But I feel like, so I moved to LA and I just wanted to be a studio singer. And so I just like started doing sessions and that kind of thing. And then I went through a bad breakup, started writing my own music, and then I just fell in love with it. And that's just kind of where I am now. And so I just, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So so many questions, but I think the one that just pops right now is like, you said that you went through a bad breakup.
Yeah.
And that got you into music.
Totally.
How old were you?
I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
God. Similar to me, honestly. Kind of.
Yeah. It was my first love, first boyfriend, all that stuff. And so it was just like very intense. Mm-hmm. And it was also a COVID relationship, which just like made it very like more intense. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it was like 8 things leveled in one. And we also were neighbors. So it was just like thing on thing. And so it was just like, it was a lot. But I think everything happens for a reason. And I think it really just was like the purpose of it was just, of course, learn a lot about myself, but also just like to just start writing my music and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Nice. What would you say, what was like growing up in Texas and you said you were from Houston, right?
Yeah. I loved it. I think that there's definitely a couple dicey parts of Texas for sure. But I think that Houston, I'm really grateful to grow up there. Both my parents are musicians, and so I got to grow up in a very musical household. And
nice. Very cool.
Yeah, that was great. And
cool.
And it's just a really diverse city with a lot of different types of people and just a lot of different cultures. And I feel like I just was really lucky to grow up in a place like that, where I just kind of got to know everybody and just kind of vibe with everybody. And and yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was great. And nice. I just ultimately moved here because the music scene's out here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I definitely want to go into that a little later. But I want to know, like, would you say that having parents that, having that music background and your parents having that influence, that influenced your choice into becoming an artist at all?
I definitely think so. I think that maybe it's genetics. Maybe it's just the vibe of the household. I don't know.
You do have a great voice.
Oh, thank you.
So natural, right? So I don't know, like, were you singing since you were little?
I think like I have a really vivid memory of like when I was like 4 or 5 and I remember just like, this is like so TMI, but I was like sitting on the toilet as like a little kid and my mom comes in and she's like, Reagan, like, what are you thinking about? And I was just like, I'm going to be a singer one day. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And she was like, all right, if that's what you want to do, like, we'll support you, which is really amazing. It's just my mom was a singer for a while. Then my dad, a singer guitar player. He also toured with a couple bands doing sound for them.
Oh,
and so like during a couple arena tours, which is really cool. And so he did that up until I was in my early teens. And so I got to just be around music and like
around that whole, even like the backstage kind of like production team that your dad was in, right?
Totally,
like seeing
absolutely.
all of that. That's so cool.
Yeah, my dad actually owned he designed sound consoles. And so they had a company in Nashville. And so like up until I was probably like 10, it was like, or maybe a little younger than that. It was like half in Nashville or lots of Nashville trips and then in Houston and then lots of just like, oh, we have tickets to the show tonight. And like, I'm like, we'll have school tomorrow. And they're like, great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're still going to go. Like, I'm like, awesome.
It was just a thing that would happen. Like,
Yeah, it was like kind of like, it felt kind of regular. And I think I was kind of in like late middle school and I was like, this isn't normal. Like for people to just be backstage all the time. Or like we'd be like with a band that my dad like knew one of the people in the band or one of the crew members. They'd be like, oh, you want to go on the tour bus? I'm like, yeah. And so I'd be like a little kid like on the tour bus with the band. I'd be like, I kind of realized that like kind of a later age, like it's not normal for people to do this. And so, but I was very lucky.
It's not common, right? But that's super cool. Oh my God. Like that's a great experience. I want to go a little more into like what you said about the breakup. I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out why was that the main kind of like pivot moment where you were like, I need to switch to music. What were you doing beforehand?
So yeah, I've always been a singer, but I've never was a songwriter. I started, I sang in high school. I sang classical music more than I did anything. And I was going to major in classical music in college and, which I thought was cool. But it ended up being less cool when I went to a summer program at Berklee College of Music and I was like, and they were like, you're a rock singer. And I was like, no, I'm not. And they're like, yeah, you are. And I was like, okay. So then I changed everything and decided to end up coming out here, going to Los Angeles College of Music. And
oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's where I am about to graduate from, which is awesome. But
sick.
But yeah, so I just feel like, to be completely honest, I think that one, having a classical background didn't help with the songwriting aspect because everything's written and everything just goes the way it's supposed to, you know? And two, I think it just lacked a little life experience because I'd never I'd gone through a lot of really hard things in my life, but nothing that was like what somebody would want to hear a song about. You know what I mean? So it's just like kind of one of those things that I feel like I lacked experience in relationships and being able to process my emotions. And that relationship was extremely emotional. I think that when it finally ended, I think that I was just like, I have all this feelings and I don't know what to do with it. And like, I remember the first song that I sang, Colorado, was about that guy. And I remember I was like, we dated for about a year and then for about 7 months after that was very off and on, which is, you know how that goes. And it was kind of getting to the end of the off and on period, which just kind of knew like it was going to be over soon. And I was on my phone, like trying to find something. And I saw these pictures from a trip we went on to Colorado and he was from there. And I was just like, this time was just so perfect. Like, I just remember being so in love and like everything was so perfect. And like, it was just so great. And I was just looking at these pictures and just like sobbing and being like, why can't this be the way that it is, you know, anymore? It's just things change, you know? And so, I think that I remember just sitting on my couch and being like running fast, but I can't escape Colorado. I was like, I can't get away from this, like no matter what I do. And so like, whether it's a Colorado license plate or like, at the time I was kind of trying to date a little bit and I'd go on a date with a guy and they'd be like, oh, well, you know, I just got back from a trip at CU Boulder. Like I just went on a ski trip in Colorado. And I'm like, man, like every date I was going on, they would mention Colorado. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, like I cannot get away from this. Like, so yeah, so I just feel like that Colorado is one of the first songs. I wrote it with a co-writer. Her name's Ella Beyer.
Nice.
And her and I got together and we wrote that song together. And yeah, I just felt so good to like be able to just say how I felt in a song, you know? And and I was like, and I got hooked. I was like, now anytime I feel any emotion, it has to be a song. And so now I'm here. And that was about a year and a half ago. So I've like, and I'm now releasing an EP in November. So it's like, you know, I've obviously very gratefully come a long way. So
that's so cool. I mean, that's a great story.
Oh,
and I was just about to ask you about like the, just like the songs that you just sung for us and performed for us and like the meaning behind each of them, right? So I would love to know also like the meaning behind the other song. I forgot the name.
Worthless.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
You were literally just talking about it. Yeah, I mean, what is the meaning behind Worthless?
Yeah, so Worthless is, I call it a self-deprecating love letter to myself. I just kind of realized a pattern. And to be completely honest, that first relationship I was talking about was a little traumatic for me. And I think that like, towards the end, there was a little bit of like using going on. And then after that, I realized like, I just had a pattern where I would just like these guys that I like knew didn't really like me. And like, I knew that I was being used, but I just kept letting it happen, you know? And I'd be like, and just, of course, that's like of course they shouldn't do that. But also at the same time, it's like issues that I need to figure out within myself, like why I'm doing this. And I feel like I was seeing this guy and he just like, we went out to go do something and he just really like made me feel bad about myself. Like when we were out, like he would just be so rude to me. And like, it was just like,
I hate that.
Like, I know, it was just like, and it reminded me so much of my first ex. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have been doing this for a year, like just dating the same person over and over again. And it just makes me feel like so bad about myself. And I just keep letting myself do this. And in the process of writing the song too, like it was just this whole thing. And I was sitting in my car and I just was feeling really bad. So I just started like writing, and I was just like, and I just kept asking myself, why do I let myself get so invested? Like, and so that's the first line of the song. So just, I do a lot of my songs like free writing. And so I just like open up my notes app and I just completely just like write everything I'm thinking. So the first thing I wrote was, why do I get so invested? Like, why do I let myself do this? And then I was just like, I think that like something about me must say that I want to get used, because it just keeps happening. So it's like, I've just got used to me written on my forehead.
It's almost like you, obviously, like there is something that you have to learn that haven't. So it's just like the same story keeps repeating with like different people. How do you feel? Like, were you guys, was that actually like a relationship? And then you were like, okay, fuck this. I'm just gonna.
No, situationship, barely.
Okay. Oh God, like, the worst.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just like not even. But yeah, I was like writing that, and then Carla, who, aka Bicha, who was playing guitar for me, who I love dearly. I just love riding with her, and I was sitting in my car down the street from her house, just like at a restaurant, or in front of the restaurant, and I was just writing everything down, and I was like, I think I got something. I was like, I think that these lyrics just really like, this is how I feel. Like, you know what I mean? It was just not like, oh, I'm sure what rhymes with this. It was just like, it just kind of like happened, you know? And so I think I got the verses and like part of the chorus, and I just didn't really have a direction. And so I've written some songs with Carla, so I called her and I was like, hey, you know, can I come over right now? She was like, sure. And so we went over, we finished the song, and I joke that when I'm with her, I just vomit songs up. Like, it just like happens. And so I think that's how it went. And literally like within a couple weeks, I was in the studio recording it. Wow. I mean, I think we wrote it like 2 months ago. It's like, it's very quick. And so, but I just, even when I listen to it now, like I almost want to get emotional. So I just think it's just so, even currently it's still something I'm dealing with and trying to like get over. Right. And the way with like, just to realize like, you know, I'm worth it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I deserve people to be kind to me, and I deserve people to treat me with respect. Absolutely. Which I think that I always would say I believed that beforehand, but then I would consistently let people disrespect me, and then like, you know, I don't know.
No, I hear you. Well, mainly I'm 27. So when I was like around like my early 20s, oh my God, I sound so old. My early 20s, back in the day, right? So my early 20s, I also like feel like I let a lot of guys, I'm gay, so like a lot of guys wouldn't respect that. Wouldn't respect the fact that I would say, hey, I'm gay, so I don't like you, you know what I mean? But they would just kind of overstep and trying to still make me quote unquote like them. But I was like, it's not gonna happen. And sometimes I would just like let myself in, right? Into whatever game. And then I would be like, God damn it, why? You know what I mean? And I feel, honestly, whoever's listening to this that is gay is probably like, you fucking, you, what the fuck? Like, honestly, and I get it, but I think it took me a while to actually realize that I was just not respecting myself, and that I was like, I need to stop this 100%. And I did. So yeah, but that's such a cool story though. Like, in both stories, amazing. And it also includes, you know, a breakup, a guy, or like somewhat situationship, right?
Totally. And I feel like a lot of the time, like, it's so funny to like write something so emotional and then be like, all right, guys, pre-save the song. Okay, now go. I'm posting about it today. Here's a TikTok. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's something that feels so personal to me, but at the same time, but I have other songs that I wrote like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, like when all this kind of happened, and I sing them and I'm like, of course I connect to it, but I don't like necessarily mean it anymore. Like, it's old emotions, you know, like I'd say Colorado was something that was really freshly after that breakup where I was just like very emotional about it. And then now I sing it and I can go back to that place, but those emotions still aren't necessarily there because I've gotten over it. You know what I mean? And so, but then Worthless is like kind of a strange thing. It's like something I wrote so recently, and then like at the same time I'm like still kind of going through that thing. And so it's just so kind of funny to like kind of do all the promotion stuff and sing it and be like, and act like it's just not something that like when I get back to the car I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean?
I mean, like, your promotion is amazing, and I do want to show some stuff that you have in a little bit, but I definitely sorry, I definitely want to first ask, you mentioned something about you mentioned something about Berkeley, going to school. Oh my God, my English literally. You went to Berkeley for a summer. Yeah. Was it a summer camp?
Yeah, it was a Berkeley 5-week.
Okay,
in Boston.
Cool. How was that experience?
It was good. I to be completely honest, I ended up not going to school there. Like I said, I go to LICM, but I feel like I was just like such a Berkeley girl. I was like 17. I was like, I had to go to Berkeley College of Music, or like Berkeley or nothing, And like I went there, and it was 10 grand. And my parents were like, we'll pay a little bit of it, but we can't afford the whole 10 grand.
How many months?
5 weeks. 10 grand for 5 weeks.
Oh.
And so I worked as a waitress, I think like even like over 50 hours a week in high school to pay for it. And I raised the money in like a couple months, and like, I don't thank you.
Good for you, honestly.
And, but it was just something I wanted so bad. And I was like, I have to do this. And so I made all this money. It all went towards the thing. I went to Boston. And
Boston is also an expensive city.
So expensive, yeah. And so I went and I did my first like placement audition, and I sang "Chasing Pavements" by Adele, because at that point in my life, I could only sing classical music and Adele, because somebody one time told me I sound like Adele, and so I was like, okay, I can only sing Adele. And so I was like, okay, I have to sing an Adele song. So I did that, and the guy in the who's doing my audition, he was like, "You are a rock singer," and I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, and he was like, "I'm going to put you in the rock and metal ensemble." And I was like, why would you do that?
You're like, no, please.
Yeah, I was like, please don't, And so...
sorry to interrupt. What do you want to do? Like, you didn't want to be in rock. So what was the other genre that you wanted to go into?
I think that I just knew I liked to sing. Okay. And I just didn't really and I just heard Berkeley is where people go to be a good singer. You know what I mean? So like...
It's a great school, yeah.
Yeah, and so I just was like, okay, I need to go, and this is where I'm going to like be a better singer. And so... That's the first place I ever improv'd in my entire life, because singing classical, you don't do that, And so I just think I improv there for the first time in my life. I was singing rock music for the first time. I was meeting all these people that like were so different than the people I grew up with, because they're all musicians and all cool and like all this stuff. And I was kind of like not dorky, but just kind of like not a musician, you know what I mean, at the time. And so I just was like, all these people were like with their like, long hair, and like, I was like, hey, like, I'm just like not that I'm not at the time was not that girl.
I just imagine you pulling up to class and all these people are like, ooh.
What's they all have like tattoos, they're 16, like, you know what I mean? I'm like what's going on? Like, I just didn't get that. I was like in my like little like Lululemon leggings and like my crop top, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. And so but yeah, I feel like I went there, they put me in that ensemble. I was only in rock ensembles, so I was there, and I just like, they talked about Heart, the band Heart, and nice. And Ann Wilson, the singer, and I just fell in love with Heart. And I was okay, now my new thing is I'm going to try to sound like Ann Wilson. And so like for my senior year of high school, when I was there, I was just like, I'm going to be Ann Wilson. And so like I just learned how to do everything, like hopefully like she did. And when I auditioned for school, Barracuda was my audition song.
Oh, nice.
And that was like my first like little like dip into rock music. And so I would do that song. And yeah, and I just think like slowly but surely, I just kind of like found like my way through that. But I think that like that was very pivotal for me, because I say that I went there and like was just like, I like to sing, and then I like left there and I was like, I'm gonna be a singer. There's nothing else I can do, and this is what I have to do. And so yeah, I'm very grateful for the experience. Do I wish I had the 10K back? Maybe, but I was very grateful for the experience. So
nice, yeah. That's awesome. You came here though afterwards to go to another school, right? Was it the same? Well, the Berkeley one was just a summer, like a thing. But here, is it actually a degree? Like, and what kind of degree is it? Yeah, so I'm currently getting my bachelor's in vocal performance.
Nice. So I started in 2020 during COVID, and I graduate this March. So I'm almost done.
Nice.
Which is really cool. I loved going to school there, or I do love.
I almost went there.
Huh?
I almost went there.
Thanks.
I was just comparing. I wanted to do film scoring, and I was comparing Berkeley, USC, MI, and LACM. And then I like my last, 2 picks was like MI and LACM, and I was like, which curriculum would makes more sense for me?
Yeah, totally.
And then at the end it was MI, but I did want to go there to LACM. Yeah, they just didn't focus on certain things, and I was like, yeah, but maybe it was still good, probably, but yeah.
Yeah, I always joke like that the school should hire me for promo, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. But but I feel like
we'll make sure that we tag them. So I know.
Thank you. I have this whole like my origin story is I went to LA for my 18th birthday to audition for schools, and so it was like happened to be like around the same week of my birthday, so it was like exciting weekend. And I did MI audition, I did LACM. And I didn't like in the beginning. Sorry, LACM, I didn't like it because it was really small. It's in Pasadena, which isn't like super in LA. It's kind of more suburban. And I was just like, I don't really like know if this is like my thing, But then at Berkeley, one thing is my last name is Sepulveda. REAGAN'S Sepulveda is kind of like a mouthful a little bit. And at Berkeley, as much as I liked it, like teachers and students would tell me like, you need to change your name because nobody's ever going to listen to music by a girl named REAGAN'S Sepulveda. And like, it's too much of a mouthful and nobody's going to know how to say your name and you just shouldn't, you have to think of something different. So I had this whole like crisis my senior year of high school. Like, what's my name going to be? Like, I don't know. And so then I went to my LACM audition and I walked in, they go, okay, what's your name? And I go, I'm REAGAN'S Sepulveda. And they go, is that your stage name? What's your real name? And I was like, no, that's my real name. They're like, oh my God, never change that name. That's like the coolest name. It's like the street, you know? And so they're like, it's so LA, you have to keep it. I was about
to say, I was like, I think it sounds really cool. Like, sure, it might be hard to pronounce, but so what? There's like so many artists that have names that are totally like, what the hell? Like, how do you even pronounce that?
Totally.
And they're doing great. So I don't think it really matters. It matters about like the music. It's what matters really.
Yeah, totally. And I felt that way too because I love my name and I mean it's been my name my whole life. So I don't like, you know, I don't know anything different. And I just anytime I would think of something else, it just didn't feel right. And like, so yeah, but I went in there and I was like, y'all really think that? And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay. And so I was like, that's kind of like I think that when I flew home and everything, it's just kind of the thing that stuck with me where I was like, man, like they want me to be myself. You know what I mean? When I feel like at Berkeley, they wanted me to like conform to like the idea of what they wanted me to be kind of thing. And like, they wanted to put me in a box and I didn't like that.
And that's also very subjective. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's like, it's what they thought, like how many people were in the, like the judge
at LACM?
Yeah. At Berkeley. Was it just one person or was it just like a lot of people?
They were telling me about my name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was several people. I had several students and several teachers. I had this one teacher that was there. Can't really remember her name, but I had one class with her and she was always very like, would kind of praise me a lot. And I felt great, you know? And so, but then one day towards the end of the program, she pulled me aside. She said, hey, can you stay after her? It's like, yeah. So I stayed and she goes, Reagan, I think you're great. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And she was like, but you have to change your name.
Interesting.
Even if it's just your last name. And I was like, interesting.
I wonder if that's kind of like the market, like in the East Coast.
Yeah.
You know? But also when you go to the East Coast and also go to Berkeley, you realize that a lot of the things that they're doing is like jazz, mostly jazz or jazz musicians, or like it's based on like that genre.
Totally.
So I don't know if they were thinking about that. Like I'm not sure, but yeah, that's subjective as fuck, right? It's like
because I think it's so awesome people have stage names because it's just like so cool and fun. But I think that like it's just not me, you know. And I think that's I think that especially for the music that I make, I think that I make music that's like extremely authentic to how I feel and like raw to how I feel, especially in the moment or the time that I wrote it. And so like I don't know, I feel like in a way, like, who am I to like write this music that's so raw, but then hide behind a persona? And so I feel like, to me, it's just like, this is how I feel. This is my name.
This is who I am.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Cool. No, that's awesome. Why LA?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like LA for the most part, really just was so different than what I was used to growing up. I mean, like there's some, of course, two really big cities, but I feel like I just really I lived in Houston my whole life and kind of knew the same people my whole life. And I just I had the urge to just do something different, you know? And to me, like if I was going to be a singer and I want to be successful, I had to be in LA. And I feel like I just always told myself that. And like, even the times that I wanted to go to Berkeley, it was just like, well, I'm going to go to LA after. You know what I mean? It was just like kind of, it was always just kind of felt like that's just, I wanted to be somewhere where like,
I say.
So
it was kind of like, you knew since the beginning, even if you went somewhere else, you wanted to kind of move here and end up here.
Totally. Because there's even like a school I looked at that was like in Oklahoma City. Girl, I do not want to live in Oklahoma City. Like, let's be real. And so it was kind of one of those things where it was like, okay, Boston's cool, but like it's Boston and like, but LA's like LA. Like, you know, it's just like, I wanted to move here, I guess, for that reason.
Right. Yeah. So going back to Berkeley though, would you move or would you go back to Berkeley if you had the chance for like a full program?
No. Because I think that it's so expensive, like so expensive. And I was very fortunate to get a couple scholarships to Berkeley. And even with that, it's just like a lot, you know?
Right.
But of course, like, let's say money was out of the question. Like if I could just go, I think that I'm just now living here for almost 4 years. I feel like I'm just now meeting the right people. Like it feels like every time like I meet people and I get to collaborate with people and just get my foot in the door. And it took me 4 years to do that. You know what I mean? So I feel like
it took me also about the same time to actually be like know the right people. You know what I mean? The right people that can lead me to the places that I want to be. So that's crazy. Some people can do it like this fast.
Yeah, I'm not that girl.
Yeah, no, me neither. It took me a while to even discover who I was. You know, at the beginning when I just got here, it took me a while to be like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Do I actually want to do this? Like, I didn't even know who I was when I moved here. I just kind of knew that I wanted to do something so badly, but I wasn't like 100% sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's so fucking incredible. Holy shit. Yeah. I want to know more about your songwriting process.
Totally.
Yeah. What's, you kind of mentioned that your songwriting was like, you said that you kind of just do a cappella, right? You just like let it out basically without any instruments, which honestly, that's very impressive. Because how do you even keep a pitch?
Yeah. I feel like I'm so instrumentally challenged. Like, I've tried to pick up guitar, I've tried to pick up piano. I understand theory, so I can make my way around the piano. Like, if I can sight read, so it's like, if I have the music in front of me and like you give me a little bit of time, I can kind of figure it out. But like, I'm not the girl that's just gonna be like, oh my God, this is the 4-chord progression I'm gonna use and it's perfect and this is just what I'm gonna write over. Because every time I try to do that, I can't get anything out. And so a lot of times, like, my songs it happens in the car. And so like, I'll just be like driving and I'll be like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, this is how it's going to go.
That's a good melody.
Like with Colorado, like in my house, like I was sitting on the couch, Psycho, my other release. I was sitting on a Zoom call with my ex-boyfriend and I just was like all like angry. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I just like, it was the same thing. I was just like verse, chorus. I was just sitting there on the Zoom call, like add me to the list of your crazy ex-girlfriends. I was just like adding, like, I was just like kind of singing it on my breath and it just came to me, you know? And so like,
that's awesome.
Usually I get kind of stuck after verse chorus. I love co-writing. So almost all the songs that I'm really proud of and I've, you know, really proud of putting them out, everything have been co-writes.
Nice.
Either with my friend Ella Beyer or with Beecha. And I'm very fortunate to be able to write with them. So a lot of times it's either I write the full song a cappella and then I bring it to them and they help me write all the music behind it or the chords or like the guitar parts, whatever. Or it's like I've got verse chorus and then I'm stuck. And so they help me like kind of figure out the bridge and just figure out how to like better shape the arrangement.
Right,
and
put it all together.
Totally.
That is really cool. Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, I always find very interesting to ask this question because everyone has just different ways to songwrite, right? And like to not make up a story, but like to make the story very cohesive. So that's very cool. We know we've talked to you a lot to you know, have some questions for you, but we know you've performed a lot in LA. How do you feel about the music scene here?
It's great. I'm not a competitive person, but I like how competitive it is here because like, there's such a saturation to everything.
Absolutely.
It's such a juxtaposition because there's so much opportunity, but there's so much competition.
Yep.
So it's like, there's so many spots that need to be filled. Every restaurant needs, you know, a Friday night singer and every like, you know, every Saturday night a bar needs somebody to play at it. So that's awesome because there's so much opportunity. But like when I first got kind of a band together and I had enough music where I was like, okay, I want to start gigging. You know, every musician knows how it is. Like you send 100 emails, you get maybe one answer. You know what I mean? And like, especially me, because I, you know, don't have like a ginormous following and like all this stuff. And so I'm just like, you know, writing this music that I love and playing with my band that I love. But it's like, you know, when you're like emailing Hotel Cafe, like it's like, they're like, how many tickets can you sell? Like that's what matters, you know?
Right.
And so, and so I think that's just kind of like, you kind of in a way wish people just would believe in you more. Cause like, I think in a way, like, but I mean, it's just not like that. You know what I mean? It's just like, how much money can you make? How many streams do you have? And like whatever. And so I don't know. I think that I'm kind of an impatient person. I can be that way. And so I think in the beginning I was like, I want to play these big venues now. And like, but somebody just needs to believe me, which just doesn't work like that. You have to work to get there, you know? And so I think like, to be completely honest, like I think for a while I was just like, why does nobody want me to play for them? And like all this stuff. But I think I just realized like it takes going out a lot, having your business cards, giving them to people and like constantly being like, singing backgrounds for people, and then that venue sees you sing background to that person, and they want you to come and do original. It's just like I think that it takes a lot of work and a lot of saying yes to a lot of things, and you know, showing up when you're supposed to, showing up on time, knowing the music, like whatever for other people to get opportunities. You know what I mean? And of course, I don't do it just for the opportunity. Of course, I usually do it because I love them, you know, and I love the music. But yeah, so I just feel like it's really interesting. I'm still figuring it out. Of course, I still have no idea what I'm talking about, so don't listen to anything I say. But my Instagram bio is I don't know anything. I'm just the singer, because it's just like I like, you know. And I think that's also like I think people say it's like, oh, you're the singer. I'm like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of a joke, but it's also just like when people ask me questions, I'm like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
So, I don't know. But,
no,
but yeah.
Something that you were saying about how you have to say yes to a lot of things at first, right? I think that's true at the beginning, but there comes to like a time where you're gonna be like, you know what, like I can't do this. Oh my god, I can't do this in a way, just because every time I feel like every time you would say yes to things that I think don't benefit you at the end, it's just you get to realize that the more you are here, I feel like in LA or in the music industry, it's like you get to realize, you know, I can, you know, reach like kind of like there is a better way to do things than just like saying yes to everything and not get anything back. I think the only thing that you get back is probably you get to perform, and that's cool. But I think a lot of venues in LA take advantage of that, of people just wanting to perform, right? So it's like, no, these people want to perform, but they also want to make a living out of this. So they have to be like, you know, you have to pay them or something. And like, I believe in that firmly. I feel like we also here just want to like at some point have events that we can also pay our artists. And I think that's amazing. I feel like we all want that, you know, as musicians, as artists, we want to make a living out of this. So I feel like a lot of people just be like, at the beginning, I was also just saying yes to everything, to the point that I was like exhausting myself for other people, and then I wasn't taking care of myself.
Totally.
You know? But I think it's a really good way to get in contact and get more people to know you. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think, and from what we've seen, I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
I can't not wait.
Try.
No, I cannot wait to see where, you know, all this leads. And that's so cool that you're here in LA and you're doing this. I know that you kind of answer this, but I'm curious about like, what is like kind of like do you have like another inspiration or what is inspiration on your like music? Like what do you get inspired from when you make a song? I know that you mentioned the 2 songs that you did were inspired by, you know, a situationship or like
totally.
a breakup. But I want to know if there's anything else that inspires you to make these songs.
I think that I have so many songwriter friends. They can sit down and any day of the week they can write a song, and I'm just not that person. And I wish I could be.
No, same.
And I'm just the kind of person where I need to feel something so overwhelmingly. And I joke that I only have sad songs and angry songs, but because I just like those are like the emotions that I don't. I'm very like an optimistic person. I'm very like happy-go-lucky about pretty much everything. I think those are like the sides of myself that I definitely don't let other people see. So those are things I need to let out. And the way that I can let that out is through music. And so honestly, a lot, if not all of my songs are about love or somehow revolving love or like the loss of it or that kind of thing. Because I feel like those are the things that like, I'm still figuring out how to handle, you know what I mean? So I feel like even if I'm in like, I've been with people where like, they're so kind to me and so nice. And I just am like, I don't know what to do with that. You know, because I've been with so many people that are not like that to me. And so I feel like, you know, that's how I'm still navigating that as a person. And so I feel like a lot of my songs are kind of about like love and loss and those things.
Okay.
And I even have like some songs about like people that I just feel like don't understand me or don't like get what I am trying to do. And but that thing is just like be myself. You know what I mean? So I feel like and that comes from a place of anger, you know, so I write about that and, you know, everything.
That's cool. That's cool. It's like basically like high emotions, very intense high emotions. You're like, I have to let this out. And then I'm just going to write it down right now.
Yeah. And like, I feel like as a person, I am very, like show my expressions a lot, or like, I'm very like, just outgoing and extroverted, but I feel like when it comes to more vulnerable situations, it can be really hard for me to open up. And,
absolutely.
And like in Worthless, like one of the lines is, I've got a wallet, but I just wish it was higher. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just wish, I love like, that. Yeah, I just feel like that's how I feel. Cause I feel like, a lot of times, like I said, those are just like not the sides that I like showed other people. And so, I kind of need that outlet.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we know you're doing an EP. Yeah. So tell us about that process.
Totally. Yeah. So I feel like I said, I hate to keep talking about the same thing, but it just is kind of the way that I am. I feel like this EP very much shows a certain era I feel like I had, for lack of a better term. So I know it's like a very, like, the Eras tour. Like I know that's like a very over like used term right now, but I think that's just like a certain era of my songwriting, in my like kind of baby songwriting, where I feel like I was dealing with this end of a relationship, and during that time there was a little bit of like crossover where there's like another girl, and it was like this whole thing, and so I feel like that was something that was extremely heartbreaking for me, and so like I wrote all these songs about it, and I feel like that whole situation was something I just like needed to like let my emotions out and like kind of get all of that like put out, and so I feel like this EP kind of, in a way, it's called Class Act. You're hearing it first because I haven't announced it yet, but I feel like a lot of it is just like me kind of explaining like how I feel, and I think like in a way kind of unintentionally, when I listen to all the songs together, it tells a story. Like it shows a different like kind of forms of emotions that I felt, whether it be heartbreak, whether it be like kind of the reminiscent side of things, where like knowing you don't want to be with somebody, or like, but then at the same time like missing some of those times. But then I love that. There's one, like another song I wrote called Close Proximity with Carla, who was playing with me, where it's just more even about like just people holding grudges when you've let go, you know what I mean? And so I feel like it's just kind of like the different ways that I felt about that time, but I'm luckily have moved on, and I writing music about totally different things, and I feel like I'm in a different genre-wise kind of a different thing, and I feel like I just wanted to encapsulate that entire era of my life and that beautiful like beginning of my songwriting into one project. And so like that will and it's called Class Act because I feel like a lot of the songs are very tongue-in-cheek. I think that my humor is very tongue-in-cheek. I think that a lot of like, and a lot of my music, even the slower songs, the more ballady songs, are all very like, there's some lines in there that are supposed to sting a little bit. So I feel like, I don't know. I just think that's just like kind of the thing. So I think a lot of times like people maybe the songs are about are very like, I just can't believe she's writing music about this. And like, it's just so inappropriate, and it's just like whatever. But I just feel like I'm so unclassy or so like whatever that she would do this. But at the same time, like it's my experience, and you know, maybe I'm still a class act, but that's like what the whole purpose of like the whole thing is. But yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, one more question, the last question.
Totally.
If you had one word that could describe you, what would that word be?
I will have to say this question was asked by somebody else, like one of my friends. Yeah. Like, oh, if you could describe Reagan in one word, what would it be? And she said strong. And that was like almost like emotional for me. I was like, why you think that? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I almost will say that now that it's strong, and like,
nice. That's a good one.
Whether it's musically or just personally or whatever, I would say like strong. So I feel like it's not only like maybe the way I feel, but it's just like an affirmation for myself. Like, you know what I mean? 'Cause it's
that's
like
awesome.
Times that I don't feel strong most of the time, but I feel like.
But you are though.
Thank you. And so I feel like I have to just tell myself that like, whatever stuff's going on, I just believe that everything happens for a reason. Yep. Everything that's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. There's balance in life. Every bad day, you're gonna have a way better one the next. So it's just like, exactly. I'm such like a big believer in like the yin yang of life and all that stuff. And so I feel like, you know, I'm strong, and you know, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a good one. I don't think anyone has said that. Oh no, ever. That's such a good one. Oh my God. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been so lovely to have you, and to hear, you know, that you are just starting with this journey, and like we cannot wait to see where your songwriting, you know, journey goes. And your songwriting is amazing.
Thank you.
Even if you co-write, I mean, you started the whole thing. So that's like kind of like a pumping fuel, right? And
yeah,
like,
but I couldn't have done it without them.
That is very true. That is very true. And that's so humble that you recognize that. But you're amazing. So
thank you.
Yeah, if you want to tell everyone your socials, where they can find you so they can listen to your music, you can just go for it.
So it is Reagan Sepulveda, REAGAN SEPULVEDA on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, everything. And then my EP Class Act will be out early November. So please check that out. Follow me. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Totally.
Again. And
thank you.
Go follow her everywhere, and go follow the Fireplace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.